All right, shalom, greetings to each and every last one of you. In this particular section of the video, I'm going to show you some of the study resources that I personally use in my studies. So before Pastor Dowell takes a position on anything, you better believe that I have done my due diligence. I have actually spent time in research and in prayer and in study and making sure that I actually take the painstaking effort to do whatever I can to make sure that I'm bringing forth the people that listen to me the truth. I am a pastor according to Jeremiah 3:15, and it says, and I'll quote, "And I will give you pastors according to my heart, which shall feed you with knowledge and understanding." And I take that very, very serious. So let's get going here. The first thing that I have in my reference that I use is a King James Bible. And the particular King James Bible that I use right here, or I have, is the Hebrew Greek. See if I can get it up there for you to focus in. The Hebrew Greek Key Study Bible, King James Version. And of course you can see that it has a lot of miles on it. But I use that. And I also use the Holy Bible, and it says, look very close, the 1611 edition, King James. I also use this Bible. And the reason why I have all these Bibles is because I like to cross-reference things and to make sure that I come up with a very good sound understanding. I also have the complete Jewish Bible that I use to check things with. Do you see that? The complete Jewish Bible. All right. I also use the original African Heritage Study Bible because I want to make sure I get a proper perspective from all resources, all sources. All right. Now, also along the Bible line, I use the Parallel Apocrypha, which you can see on the side. If I can turn it up right, it actually shows you in this particular book right here all the different translations that are in this book that runs parallel with the Apocrypha. Now, a lot of people will say, Pastor Dowell, why in the world do you use the Apocrypha? And of course, I would often ask and say, what do you mean? And why are you asking me that question? Why do I use the Apocrypha? I mean, do you not think that that's strange? That somebody would ask me why? And they would say, well, I don't understand. I mean, it's not in your King James Version of the Bible. And I said, yeah, it is too. And they say, well, which one do you use? And so I immediately take them back to my 1611 King James Version of the Bible. And I'll show them that it is in the original 1611 King James Version of the Bible. And if I can get this camera to focus in, you see it? It says Apocrypha. Apocrypha. You see that? They were contained, them books, in the original Holy Bible 1611 King James Version. Now, who got inspired? I don't think anybody personally got inspired, but I think there's some wicked men removed those books out of the Bible, and they did it for a reason. And now I know the reason, because I read the Apocrypha for myself. And so now I understand the reason why they've done certain things. I also have a Cambridge annotated study of the Apocrypha. All right. So if I'm looking up words and stuff, I want to make sure that I get a very sound and concrete evidence for what I'm speaking about. I also have a copy of, and I'll see if I can get up here, the Septuagint. The Septuagint with the Apocrypha. If I can get the camera to focus in on it, I don't think it's going to focus. We'll see if we can get it focused in. It doesn't look like it's going to try to focus, but you should be able to read it. It's the Septuagint with the Apocrypha. Now also, along with the Bibles, I have the Hes Haim, Tree of Life And this is a Hebraic of scriptures, Torah commentary. And it actually reads just like the Hebrew does. When you open this book up, you open it up from what we Americans call the back. And then we go to the front. But really, truthfully, this is the way that it actually operates. And that's how you read. So Genesis would be what you would normally call in the back of the book. But in this book, it's in the front of the book. All right. I also use the Aramaic, you hear that? English New Testament. Because, see, in our society, we haven't been told, and we don't know, that there was actually an Aramaic version of the New Testament way before there was ever any Greek. So I use the Aramaic English New Testament too, to also cross-reference to make sure that we come up with soundness. And then I also have another Bible right here. This is quickly becoming one of my favorites. Of course, it does have a strong messianic slant to it, but nevertheless, it's brutally honest in its translation and it's truthful. And it's another Bible right here I use, which is called the Scriptures. Do you see that? The Scriptures. And this is a pretty large one right here. Okay? Now, none of your studies will be complete without what I showed you earlier, the Strong's Exaltus Concordance of the Bible. You need a good Strong's. You need a one, and then not only that, you need to check Strong's out. You need to check them out. You need to check out and prove everything. That's why you have to have all these books, because knowledge has been hidden from us. Now, we go off into the different types of dictionaries and stuff that I use, which I don't really too much, use many of them, but I do use them. Because I when you read a modern day dictionary, you find out that they have changed a lot of words, and words have lost its meaning over time. And so they're trying to shape our minds and form our minds and mold our minds to today, to where we wouldn't have any idea how the people thought back then. So I have a Harper's Bible Dictionary, and it's a pretty old one. It's very old. You probably have a rough time trying to find it out there. And I have a New Thayer's Greek English Lexicon. New Thayer's Greek English Lexicon. I also use the Ancient Hebrew Lexicon of the Bible, Hebrew letters, words, roots defined within their ancient culture context by Jeff Beener. I use this quite extensively. All right. And then I also, let me get back to the dictionary. I also have a dictionary here, the New Century Dictionary, right here. And this dictionary is really old. The pages are yellow, and I need to do something to try to preserve it. My parents gave me this. They handed this dictionary as well as another one down to me from actually my great-grandfather. But this one has a particular copyright in it of 1948. So I have a 1948 dictionary. See, this is what dictionaries used to look like. So when you would talk about a dictionary, this is what they would look like. The New Century Dictionary. All right. And I also have a Webster's New 20th Century Dictionary of the English Language Unabridged. And you can see, so these are the dictionaries that I depend upon and I use. I use these. And this is a very old copy also. It's been handed down my family line. And as you can see, the pages are very old. They're yellowing, and I need to start to try to think of something to what I can do to preserve this. All right. And the copyright on this one, the first one came out in 1904, I believe, but the copyright on this one is 1953. This dictionary. See what the dictionaries used to look like? Now you can go buy little compact dictionaries, and you're definitely not going to fit all of them in there. From a historical point of view, I have right here Josephus, the complete works. The complete works of Josephus. And I also use the works of Josephus because I have to check out all these people who continually writing, they continually writing books about one particular author, so you're going to get different viewpoints, so you're going to put them all together. And then I also have a book called The Works of Philo. And my other book of Eusebius is out somewhere. I think my son has it. Now, are there other scriptures that we use? Sure we do. We have not come across a reliable copy of the book of Gad, but we use also the Ethiopic version of the book of Enoch, which is spoken of in the scriptures. And there are many other Bibles that are spoken of in the scriptures that are not available to us today. For some reason, somebody took them out. But those are some of the study references that I personally use daily, every single day, in the morning time and during my devotion and my prayers to the Most High, Yah, and the elders here in our study. So when we take a position about something, you better believe that before we hastily speak, we have done our study. Now, let me answer this. A lot of people are kind of upset because those who gain a little bit of knowledge, sometimes we forget where we come from. Well, I haven't forgotten where I came from. I remember when my heart, and it still does till today, yearns and hungers and thirsts after righteousness. And so with some people, they have gotten so puffed up with knowledge that they can't even come down to a level to even try to teach somebody who is new into it. So a lot of good people are being chased away from Yeshua HaMashiach, Jesus the Christ, because of the religious spirits that a lot of people have developed. So I use interchangeably words that people are familiar with based on, when I speak to them, where they're at in their knowledge. Now here at Straightway, we speak to each other totally different than when we get out in the public venue, because we understand very well what we're doing. But I also realize that a lot of people have not had the opportunity nor the time to get into the position and place where we are. So when you hear me on videos using Jesus, Yahshua, Yahweh, every once in a while you may hear me say God, and very rarely you may even hear me say Lord. It depends on who am I talking to and what I'm talking about, because everybody don't have the same level of understanding. And us as being teachers, it does no good for us to be disciples of Christ, and yet we're not able to either come up or come down in order to reach the people. That's why I always say in my videos, give me the sinner. That's who I'm after, the sinner, the backslider in heart. Those who are sick and tired and been hurt by religion of all fashions. And they're sick and tired of that mess, because they really truly want to know the Messiah. They just don't want all the baggage and garbage that comes along with being a Pharisee, a modern day Pharisee or Sadducee. And that's why we're here, the Israelites of Straightway. So I hope that this day has been a blessing for you, and I hope that I've been able to help you out some way, somehow, is my prayers. The King is coming.